Welcome guys, I am Nibota Ismail. We are continuing up with the cloud computing masterclass, and today we will be looking at Amazon EC2 Elastic Compute Cloud. Okay, so I think last time we looked at S3, yes, S3, and we are going to continue up. Okay, so now what is AWS EC2 Elastic Compute Cloud? Now, looking at the definition, AWS EC2 is a web service that provides resizable compute capacity in the cloud. Now, it provides resizable compute capacity in the cloud. Take note of that. Now, by default, right, when you use your normal Windows, perhaps let's say your computer, like what I'm using now, you have it actually provides us, it's actually a computer resource, right? Yes, it's actually a computer. So what this means is, if you are working on the cloud like AWS, as we see, which is a cloud service, they also provide compute services like what we have here. So it actually provides you resizable compute capacity in the cloud, so you can be able to work with computers while on the cloud. So it enables users to launch virtual servers known as instances and run applications on the Amazon Web Services infrastructure. Now what this means is, you are able to launch servers. This machine could be a server. This particular machine now could be a server, provided it is configured to let's say share resources, right? If there are any resources here which are maybe given out for certain purposes, it's already a server. So what that means is, you are able to configure different virtual servers. The aspect about it being virtual is that it's remote, right? And yes, it's actually virtual, it's remote, you might not see it, but actually they exist. So all of these are known as instances, and you can be able to run application on this infrastructure. So let's look at certain key concepts about it. We have what's an instance? An instance is a virtual server in the cloud. Yes, very important. So if you are talking about an instance, we are simply talking about a virtual server in the cloud. So you can be able to configure sorry about that. You can be able to configure multiple virtual servers depending on your let's say your capacity. Remember, AWS offers a pay as you go plan. We have also aspects like load balancing. Automatically they can scale up. Yes, elastic load balancing. Now, it is a remote computer running on a specific operating system. It's a remote computer running a specific operating system. Yeah, that's just what I've said. So actually, it's not found immediately where you are. It's actually on a remote location, has a certain operating system, and you're actually using it now in preference to, let's say, your local servers that you may have from maybe your home. Now, EC2 offers a variety of instance types optimized for different workloads, such as general purpose, memory optimized, compute optimized, GPU instances, and more. Now, general purpose instances could be instances, let's say it could just be a basic computer like this one. So you could just have a computer that you want to be able to do certain things there, but actually does not really have certain specifications. It does not actually have specifications, but there are times where we want let's say certain servers that maybe for memory purposes, yes, they have a very strong memory capacity, maybe to perform some sort of critical task. We have compute optimized, maybe perhaps a certain optimized computing. These are more powerful servers. GPU instances, this is for situations where you want to carry out intensive graphics processing stuffs online. So that depends on you. Yes, so you can always configure your instance for that. Now we have what we call an Amazon Machine Image, AMI. Whenever you are creating an instance, an EC2, so what happens, you need to select an Amazon Machine Image. Now what's an AMI? It's simply a template that contains the necessary information to launch an instance. So it actually operates like an operating system. So it actually comes like an operating system. So okay, as what we see, it includes operating system, software packages, and configuration details. So everything that you need to launch in that particular instance is going to be specified by your AMI. So AWS provides a wide range of pre-built AMIs. So for example, if you have your desktop, what you do is you want to install Windows there, maybe a Linux operating system, yeah, anyone that you want. Yeah, so we have operating system that can run on our AMIs, popular AMIs rather. We have things like Amazon Linux. This is for Linux operating system if you want. We have Ubuntu. We have a Windows Server. So remember, they give you certain specific specifications in order to launch your instances. We have our security groups. Now, security groups act as virtual firewalls, right, for instances. So what this means is they actually are able to direct traffic to your instance. Let's say, for example, if you are running a virtual server, you are hosting a website via your server, right? Now, by default, people cannot make access to this server. Let's say they cannot make access to it via certain remote location. Maybe someone wants to access your website. You actually need to provide access to this. You actually need to provide access to this. So you need to configure the security. So security groups now here act as virtual firewalls. So you can configure them to allow traffic. So what is traffic now? Is simply access. Yes. So perhaps people, let's say if you are hosting a website, people want to actually host a website. Remember, if you are having a server, people actually let's say accessing it is networking, right? So people need to have access to it in order to get its resources. That's how it functions. So when we talk about security group, basically you just need to define rules that allow or deny specific types of traffic. For example, let's say if it's coming from a public IP address, maybe perhaps from a website, is it coming from let's say instances inside of AWS, or let's say another AWS account? Is it coming from an SSH, from a specific from different sort of servers? So depending on that, you can always restrict access. So we also have what we call key pairs. Key pairs are used for secure login to instances. Yes. So very important, you can always secure logging into your instances by generating what we call key pairs. So when launching an instance, users specify a key pair, and AWS generates a public and private key. Users download the private key file and use it to authenticate with instances. This particular file, please do not misplace it. You may never have it again. Yes, it's very difficult. So always try to keep it safe and secured. Now, this is to ensure that whenever people have access to this particular instance, it's actually secure. The reason is because not everyone should have access to your instances. Yes, so you provide this key in order to gain access. Certain times it could be your server, so it's often good to protect them with these key pairs. Now we have elastic IP addresses. An elastic IP address is a static public IPv4 address that users can allocate to instances. Now by default, we know that computers have IP addresses, right? Yes, computers have IP addresses, an identifier. So IP there simply means internet protocol. So it governs the protocol with the internet. Yes, so that's an IP address. So now we know that every server that you deploy also needs an IP address. So what this means is, now whenever you launch an instance and it's like maybe the instance ceases, starts back, what happens? There are specific times that your IP address could, okay, for example, let's say IPv4 address, it could change at certain times. Or let's say if you have a certain private IP, you have a public IP, what happens is certain times managing all of these different ones could be a bit difficult. So we have what we call an elastic IP, which is able to, let's say, modify itself over time, so it remains consistent and you can use it throughout all conditions. Yes, so elastic IP addresses, I think while we'll be working with practicals, you're actually going to see how elastic IP addresses work. So it allows maintaining a consistent IP address, and even if instances are stopped and started, so even if you off an instance, you start it back, the IP addresses remain constant. Why? Because you're using an elastic IP address. Auto scaling. Now what is auto scaling? Now let's say let's say you're actually running a server, right? You're actually running a server. One of the principles of cloud computing that it aims to reduce is the aspect of having to manage, or let's say is the aspect of scalability, right? So this particular aspect is very important. Why? You will not want to just go and buy a very large amount of storage space and everything, and sometimes you may not even be using it. So actually, how do you now maximize your use? So enabling auto scaling here. So as here, it automatically adjusts the number of EC2 instances based on the application demand. So for example, if you have certain applications that are running on your server and everything, so as their demand increases, perhaps maybe if you are running a specific EC2 instance, maybe the storage and all of those things are they are getting finished and everything, you must not need to go and create another EC2 instance and connect them. No, it can automatically scale up. It can automatically scale up. Let's say it automatically adjusts the number of EC2 instances. So the moment this one becomes small, what happens? It automatically increases. It automatically maybe doubles it. Maybe it goes to two instances that are running. Next, maybe it goes to 3, depending on now the requirements of the application as said. Now it helps maintain performance, reduce cost, and improve availability by scaling out during high traffic and scaling in during low traffic. So when times where maybe there's high traffic into the site, where let's say the system performance is needed in maximum, so what happens? It can always scale up. Remember, the more storage capacity, the size and space available and everything, the application, it could actually influence the let's say the accessibility of these services. So it can always scale up and scale down during times of low traffic, high traffic, based on the user engagement. Now, load balancing. Elastic load balancing distributes incoming traffic across multiple instances to improve application availability and fault tolerance. Now, if in case you are having multiple EC2 instances, let's say running a specific service, maybe due to auto scaling, we have more than 3, 4 running and everything. Let's say in case there is actually a problem, what is going to happen? Let's say one particular instance has a problem. What is going to happen? Now your application is automatically going to do what? Is automatically going to scale up, right? This is the aspect now of elastic load balancing. So automatically now it can detect any unhealthy instances and can now be able to let's say direct the traffic, the users now to healthy instances. That's why when we are working with the cloud, when we talk about the aspect of elastic load balancing, auto scaling and everything, whenever there's a problem with one, automatically it can switch to the next one. This is to ensure a very efficient and, let's say, smooth, reliable way of operating. So we have Amazon EBS. So this particular one is another concept on its own. EBS, Elastic Block Store. So Elastic Block Store provides, let's say, persistent block level storage volume for EC2 instances. Just like you have Windows, you have local drive C, local drive D, local drive E, all of those things. So this one also now can give you the ability now to include drives inside and different volumes inside of let's say your EC2 instance, right? Yeah, so let's say you have an EC2 instance, you can maybe include several volumes there. You can increase the storage, add several volumes there. So this is what Elastic Block Store does. So we have placement groups. Placement groups enable users to influence the placement of instances to achieve low latency network performance or high throughput network performance. So this particular one, even though is not mostly let's say in view, but it's actually also important to look at placement groups. So I think you should go and do more research on that and see actually how it can be used. We have instance metadata. Instance metadata is simply a service that provides information about an instance. Yeah, so every instance that's running, remember, is a server, so it actually provides information. We'll talk about metadata. It actually provides specific information about the instance, like what you see here. We have ID, the IP address, the security group information. So all the information about that particular instance operating at that time, it actually gives it to us. So that's what we call instance metadata. So instance life cycle. Now, the life cycle of an instance could be, as you see, it could be started, it could be launched, it could be stopped, it could be rebooted, terminated. So these are different life cycles that we have. So launching an instance creates a new virtual server, yes, while stopping an instance preserves its data and allows restarting later. So terminating an instance permanently deletes it. So if you terminate an instance, it deletes it. So you say what you need to do instead, rather you need to stop the instance. So you can start, you can stop, you can reboot, you can terminate. So that's the life cycle of an instance. We have instance store. Instance store provides temporary block level storage for instances. It is physically attached to the host computer and provides high I/O performance. However, the data stored in the instance store is lost if the instance is stopped or terminated. So that's those advanced concepts. I think we'll look at those when we're working practically. So we have spot instances. Spot instances allow users to bid on unused EC2 instance capacity, right? Now, one of the advantages of this is it could potentially reduce costs, right? Now, instances are located based on the spot price, which fluctuate based on supply and demand. So what does this mean? What does this mean? Now, certain times, let's say if you actually you want to actually, let's say, make provisions for a specific instance at a particular time, you can beat the price, right? So you can, these spot instances have the ability to, let's say, beat the price. So when we talk about unused instances, so these particular unused instances, maybe perhaps they are not running at a specific period of time. Normally by default, their let's say their costs sometimes will not be exactly the same as for the other one. So actually what they mean by this is, due to how much let's say how much they are being required, their prices are fluctuated based on this. Yes, based on this, their prices are fluctuated. So that is just a concept behind spot instances. We have dedicated hosts. Dedicated hosts provide physical servers dedicated to users' instances. Very important. Now remember, each of these our servers are remote servers, right, which are actually found on the cloud infrastructure provided by AWS. So wherever they are that the region could be, the servers could be there. So I'll talk about dedicated hosts. Actually now we dedicate specific servers only for that particular instance. So dedicate a specific server only for that particular instance. So let's say you want an Ubuntu AMI on your instance. So what happens, they are going to dedicate you a specific server running that particular AMI, and you are going to use it. Let's say the ability for you to, let's say, for two people to actually use that same instance will not be there, right? The reason is because it has been dedicated to you. So this is the aspect of what we call dedicated hosting. This is for people who mostly work with web hosting, where you have a specific instance or specific server dedicated only for you. Now we have instance type. We have AWS regularly introduces new instance types with update hardware and capabilities. Users can choose instances based on their specific requirements, such as CPU, memory, storage, and networking resources. Okay, now let's look at some of the advanced concepts when it comes to Elastic Compute Cloud, EC2. Now, the first one, we have Elastic Network Interfaces. Now, just as let's say our devices like this one, like our normal computers and everything, they use what we call a network interface card in order to actually access the network and some other functionalities that it provides. We have Elastic Network Interfaces, which are virtual network interfaces that can be attached to instances. They provide networking capabilities such as multiple IP addresses, assigning security groups, and enabling high availability. So this is for the aspect of networking. So this is basically to enhance your networking capabilities of your instance. So this particular one, with the help of our elastic networking interfaces, so you can be able to actually incorporate more other dynamic functions. As you see here, we have what we call multiple IP addresses, assigning security groups, and there are so many other functionalities that it also brings to play. We have enhanced networking. Now, enhanced networking provides higher network performance and low latency for EC2 instances. Now, higher network performance, so it just helps maybe to boost the network. And we'll talk about low latency. It actually provides more efficient, let's say, resource output, right? Let's say if you are making requests to a specific service, so the time delay for it to actually come through is actually very little and minimal. Yes, so that's what we'll talk about latency. Yes, so it doesn't actually take much time. You can get your resources within the shortest period of time. Now, it leverages advanced networking features such as SRIOV. Okay, these are for people who are actually doing networking. Yes, those who are doing networking, you actually understand those concepts better. Now we have elastic GPU. GPU here are for, let's say, if you want servers who can actually perform high graphics related tasks, right? High graphics related tasks. These are for people who really need this GPU processing. Now, GPU enables users to attach GPU resources to EC2 instances, enhancing their capabilities for graphics intensive workloads such as rendering, video encoding, and machine learning. If you are doing machine learning, you need GPU. If you are doing things like video editing, video encoding, and all of those, you need GPU. Also, we have EC2 auto recovery, very important. Now, what is auto recovery? Automatically recovers instances when system failures are detected. Yes, so what happens is it actually monitors the instances. It actually monitors the instances and is able to recover them whenever there's an error. For example, let's say maybe something just happened, it can always maybe reboot the device. As you see here, it can always replace it. Remember, that's the aspect of it being scalable, right? Yes, aspect of it being scalable. So whatever happens, it can always catch up, or it can always provide necessary solutions in order to recover your data and everything. We have EC2 Systems Manager. EC2 Systems Manager is a management service that helps you automate administrative tasks and manage instances at scale. Yes, it provides features like parameter management, patch management, session manager, and run command for executing commands on instances. So this is basically for administrators of the system. You can be able to perform more advanced features as just relating with the instances. So you can monitor the sessions. You can be able to we have things like parameter management. We also have you can be able to run specific commands. Yes, so being an EC2 systems manager, you can actually perform more other advanced operations that a normal user will not be able to. So we have EC2 dedicated instances. EC2 dedicated instances are instances that run on dedicated hardware, providing additional isolation for workloads that acquire strict compliance or regulatory requirements. So this is the same as for dedicated hosts, as we saw. But yeah, these dedicated instances they run on dedicated hardware. What that means is where they are actually at their data centers, these instances have specified hardwares which have been dedicated only for their functioning. Very important. We have EC2 capacity reservations. EC2 capacity reservations allow users to reserve capacity for specific instance types in a specific availability zone. It helps ensure that the desired capacity is available when needed and provides more control over instance placement. Yes, so you can reserve capacity for specific instance types in a specific availability zone, as you have seen. So this is required. There are certain times, for example, while we'll be looking at practicals, there are certain times perhaps you may want to set some of these regulations in place. So we are going to be working with that. Now, EC2 Fleet simplifies launching a fleet of EC2 instances with various instance types, sizes, and pricing options. It optimizes the cost and availability of the fleet based on user-defined preferences. So Perhaps you can launch multiple instances. Yes, you can launch multiple instances at the same time. Yes. Now we have EC2 Image Builder. Image Builder is a fully managed service that simplifies the creation, management, and deployment of customized Amazon machine images. So what that means is you can actually create, optimize your own AMIs for use. So it provides a pipeline for automating image creation and distribution. Yeah, so actually you may have your images, maybe we have things, you may be getting it from a Docker file, from a container that's somewhere. So you can always create a pipeline that you can always automate processes like this. So Image Builder, I think it's a very advanced concept, and it's for actually those who have specified, perhaps who have, let's say, specified themselves in the areas of, let's say, this EC2. Yes. So where you see you'll be able to launch containers, where you're working with DevOps. Yes, that's where you see things like this mostly. Now we have EC2 Nitro System. EC2 Nitro System is a collection of AWS designed hardware and software components that deliver high performance, security, and innovation for EC2 instances. Includes Nitro hypervisor, Nitro card, Nitro security chip. So what simply EC2 Nitro System, it simply encompasses now all of the hardware and software components that are able to now provide you with what you need for your instance to run effectively. So EC2 resource optimization recommendations provide insights into potential cost savings by identifying idle and underutilized instances. Yes, so while you'll be working, when you use these tools, for example, like resource optimization, you'll be able to get real-time insights on maybe perhaps resources which are not mostly being used. So you can always know how now to handle them so that you can reserve some costs there. So these are steps to deploy an EC2 instance. These are the steps to deploy an EC2 instance. So I think you send a message if you want a copy of this. While we'll be doing practicals, we'll be looking at this. So we are going to end here for today, and we are going to come up again with the next. I think that's going to be coming very soon. So thank you guys. Thanks for watching.